This meeting is being recorded.
There, it's official. It's being recorded. I'll just give it a minute before we get going, but then we are going to jump into it since we do only have 30 minutes. So we want to make sure that we utilize this time and are respectful of everyone's time. Oh, it's 12:31. Okay, I'm going to get going. Welcome, everyone. Good afternoon. And this is the third Lunch and Learn of the newly established Lunch and Learns for this year's Partners in Giving campaign. My name is Natalie Glom, and I work at United Way of Dane County. Everyone here, we're so glad you can join us today. Partners in Giving is celebrating 50 years of caring, and your support is always very much appreciated. I just want to go over just a few housekeeping items before we get started. I'm also be omitting people, so if I have a little bit of hesitation, that's why. The housekeeping, so yes, please make sure your microphones are muted during the presentations. There will be time for Q&A at the end where you can either raise your hand or use the chat or just unmute and say something and ask a question. And with this is obviously being recorded, so this will be up on the website after the fact. Okay, now on to the session. This week's focus topic is education, and obviously there's 500 charities to choose from. A lot of them do focus on education, and we do have two presenters from two of the charities with us today, so thank you. The first presenter is Kim Goob. She is the monthly giving manager from Southern Poverty Law Center. Southern Poverty Law is a member organization of American Charities and uses litigation, education, and other forms of advocacy. Southern Poverty Law works toward making the ideals of equal justice and equal opportunity a reality. American Charities works to develop the spirit of giving at the workplace by offering a broad range of charities reflecting on diversity of the American people. You can see more about American Charities in the booklet that starts on page 45 of the booklet. After Kim, we will hear from Carly Friedel, Donor Engagement Director, United Way of Dane County. For 100 years, we're celebrating 100 years this year, United Way of Dane County has mobilized the caring power of our community to create lasting change for multiple generations. United Way of Dane County brings the community together to tackle Dane County's toughest issues in the area. Our three pillars are education, income, and health, which are the building blocks of a stable life. You can see and read more about United Way of Dane County beginning on page 7 of the booklet. And unless there's other, oops, I've got to let people in, sorry, admit all. There we go. Again, unless there's any questions right now, we'll just keep going. So Kim, take it away.
Thank you, Natalie. Hi, everybody. I'm so excited to be here. This is my first campaign event for 2022. So I'm glad you had taken some time today to join us. I want to thank again the team with Wisconsin Partners for Giving and as well as our colleagues with United Way for this opportunity. I'm going to spend a little time talking about SPLC, or Southern Poverty Law Center, our work and our programs. I'm recently new to the team and based in DC, but I'm very excited to have this opportunity to share some of the work that not only impacts me and who I am and value in a nonprofit organization, but also the incredible work that SPLC has done. And we just recently celebrated our 50+ year anniversary. So glad to know we're in good company with your team. So I won't talk that much about America's Charities since you've already introduced that we're a member and they help with workplace giving, such as, the campaign that you guys are a part of. So I will just jump right into our agenda. So I thought I would start off with a little bit of information about our organization, our rich history and goals, and also touch on the programmatic areas and share more about our education program, Learning for Justice, and an example of our mission in action. So the mission of the Southern Poverty Law Center, or as SPLC, as I'm going to refer moving forward, is that we are a catalyst for racial justice in the South and beyond. We work in partnership with communities to dismantle white supremacy, strengthen intersectional movements, and advance the human rights of all people. And truthfully, we envision a world in which everyone can thrive and the ideals of equity, justice, and liberation are reality for all. And we do that in partnership with other movement leaders. They are helping us build on our historic strengths in the litigation and public education arenas, as well as deepening our work in the policy arena. So we were founded in Montgomery, Alabama in 1971 to really ensure that the promise of the civil rights movement became a reality for all. Today, we have staff in the 5 states in the Deep South: Alabama, Florida, Georgia, Louisiana, and Mississippi, and a team of litigators in the Washington, D.C. area. As I mentioned, we celebrated our more than 50 years of work in person and virtually last Friday with friends and partners in Atlanta, Georgia, sharing our past accomplishments and our plan for the next 50 years. So let me just share a few of our highlights. So in 1971, we became incorporated and Julian Bond was named our first president. In 1973, the U.S. Supreme Court ruled in SPLC's favor in the first successful sex discrimination case against the federal government, Frontiera versus Richardson. And it ruled that the Department of Defense cannot grant certain benefits to dependents of servicemen, but not to those of servicewomen. And in 1974, we worked with Jesse Walston, Vernon Brown, and Bobby Hines, who were freed in August following 2 years in a North Carolina prison after being wrongfully charged with raping a white woman. These 3 Black men were known as the Tarboro Three and previously faced death sentences. And one more other case, in 1976, a federal court ruled Alabama prisons as wholly unfit for human habitation in Pugh versus Locke. SPLC attorneys worked for more than a decade to force the state to bring the prisons up to constitutional standards. So fast forward to 2004, where SPLC committed to heavily investing in legal work, and that included immigrant justice and criminal justice reform, which accounted for about 70% of our legal advocacy. We launched the Immigrant Justice Project in 2005 and the Southeast Immigrant Freedom Initiative in 2017. And our criminal reform work dates back to 1996, when we first partnered with the Juvenile Justice Project of Louisiana to reduce the number of children held in secure facilities. And we did similar work in the years to come in Mississippi, Alabama, Florida, and in 2011, we leveraged this work to address mass incarceration in the adult system. So we have 6 legal practice groups. So in addition to the immigrant justice and criminal justice reform I mentioned, we have children's rights practice, LGBTQ and special litigation, economic justice, and voting rights. And in 1991, we founded Teaching Tolerance, which is now named Learning for Justice, providing free multicultural education resources for K-12 educators. So I'll talk about that in a little bit. So we're guided by our programmatic impact goals, which are tied to our overarching goal of increasing power and capacity for multiracial inclusive democracy in the South. Because white supremacy is at the root of all of the injustice we seek to remedy, the SPLC works actively and intentionally to build an anti-racist society in the states in the South and ultimately nationwide. So over the next 5 years, we have established these 4 impact goals to focus our work. So this includes strengthening our democracy by increasing voter turnout, challenging voter suppression, ensuring representational diversity, relegating white supremacy out of the mainstream, reducing its impact on the democracy, and preventing violent harms inflicted on Black and Brown people, reducing the incarcerated and detained populations by decriminalizing and decarcerating Black and Brown people, and finally, eradicating poverty by expanding access to opportunity and eliminating racial economic inequality. So if you wanted to break this down, our 3 main program areas to service these impact goals include the legal work with the systemic reform, by setting and enforcing legal precedent and undertaking individual advocacy, as well as integrating our litigation efforts with public advocacy and public education. Our intelligence project, it tracks the activity of hate groups. We have an annual hate group report. We publish investigative reports, and we share key intelligence and expert analysis to the public. And then Learning for Justice. This is the no-cost, award-winning anti-bias education materials that we distribute to educators who request them and to every public school in the nation. And so here is a snapshot about Learning for Justice. We have a quarterly magazine, and we also share free educational resources. So this could be in the form of articles, guides, films, webinars, podcasts, to really foster that shared learning and reflection. And in those programs, we have focus areas around culture and climate, curriculum and instruction, leadership, and family and community engagement. So through the engagement opportunities and through the program materials, the cycle helps us build those meaningful relationships with communities. And one component of the Learning for Justice program includes educating educators and practicing strategies to prepare their students to really practice those challenging conversations around race and enslavement, while also obtaining skills to analyze resources and practices in the classrooms. So this is a unique opportunity, providing an environment for shared learning and reflection, as well as educators together, harnessing their power to dismantle that white supremacy, strengthen intersectional movements, and disrupt hard history together. So we've had quite a few cohorts this year, and we've got nearly 300 educators who have applied for this advanced level, helping equip educators on the teaching framework. So in addition to our Learning for Justice program, the SPLC launched an advocacy institute in Mississippi earlier this year, around April. And this really serves as a training program for emerging activists and advocates across the state who are interested in advancing issues and really building that critical skills to help support their communities. So we had a cohort of 22 people who were mostly affected by systemic disenfranchisement. And they participated in a series of seminars and lessons, how to advocate for change, and really working with community partners to connect them resources. And so one of the cohort members here, Rashid Davis, talked about, when I got to meet people that have the same passion for helping people in their community that I have, he was overwhelmed. And now he knows that he can raise his activism to a whole other level. So that's basically it. I want to thank you for your time and attention. If you would like to learn more about our work, please visit our website, as well as the Learning for Justice website. And today we just launched our newest edition of the fall magazine. So you're welcome to check that out. And again, thank you so much for your support to our mission and to the other charities participating in the Wisconsin Partners in Giving program. And now over to Carly. There we go.
Thank you very much, Kim. I'm going to share my screen as well here. Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. My name is Carly Friedel, and I'm from United Way of Dane County. And as Natalie mentioned, United Way is one of the umbrella organizations that are a part of the Partners in Giving campaign. And we're so grateful to be able to participate in this campaign, both as an umbrella organization and as the fiscal agent, as well as our many partner agencies that are also participants in the campaign. At United Way, our mission is to unite the community to achieve measurable results that change lives. And our vision is a Dane County where everyone can succeed in school, work, and life. We really see ourselves as the intersection where the community meets. So the way that we do our work is by partnering with other businesses, government, program participants, donors, volunteers, and our partner agencies to listen to the tough issues our community faces, and work together to create a strategy and invest in the initiatives and programs that will achieve measurable results in our community. At United Way, as Natalie mentioned, we're focused on the building blocks of well-being, so education, income, and health. And today, with our focus on education, I want to share a little bit more about our education work. Our vision within our education portfolio is that all students succeed academically and graduate from high school prepared for higher education, career, or community. Another important focus is that we do this work through a multi-generational or two-generational lens. So we know that in order for children to be successful in their education and their academic success, their families also need support as well. So if you think about a child who is part of a tutoring program, perhaps, in order for that child to really be successful through the tutoring support, we need to make sure that when they go home, they have a stable house that they go home to each night, and they have meals available so that they can be successful in school. So it really is that holistic, family-centered approach. At United Way, we have several partners that we partner with in the community. And here are just some of the agencies that we partner with, especially as it relates to our education programs. I want to also note that all of these agencies in our community are also part of the Partners in Giving campaign. So I want to spend a little bit of time just highlighting 3 of these education programs and initiatives. I also want to share that over the last year, the impact that these programs have had on students participating in our educational initiatives are that 89% saw improvement in parent-child interaction or parenting knowledge, and 82% saw improvement in their social, emotional, and non-cognitive skills, especially as it relates to motivation, integrity, and personal interaction in the critical middle school age range. And then 100% of program participants graduated high school in Dane County. So I just want to share a little bit about 3 of our education initiatives today. The first is the Parent-Child Plus program. We know that age from birth up till age 5 is really critical in a child's educational development. And the Parent-Child Plus program is a partnership with Rise Wisconsin that helps teach children, or helps teach parents and caregivers how to be their child's first teacher. And this is done through play and reading. And each week, a staff member from Rise will come into the child's home and sit with the child and their caregiver on the floor with a new book and a new toy, and work with that family to really demonstrate how the child is learning through play. And they read together, and each week builds on the past week, and that family ends up having a toolkit of different books and toys that they can use as they play and learn together. I learned of a woman named Peggy who actually had recently moved into Madison after experiencing domestic violence, and so she had to relocate with her young son. And she was able to participate in the Parent-Child Home program at a time where there's a lot of uncertainty. She was working to make ends meet and moving to a new community. And the Parent-Child Home program gave her a chance to play and interact with her child while learning how to be really an advocate for her child's education and support him in that critical time in his life. And this is just one example of the many families who really found a solid foundation through the Parent-Child Plus program. Another program focuses more on our elementary age students, Schools of Hope. Schools of Hope is a literacy tutoring program, and it allows students the opportunity to have one-on-one tutoring with an AmeriCorps member or a community volunteer right in their classroom. And so teachers help identify students who might need a little more support with their reading skills. And they are paired with a tutor who is with them for the whole year or much of the year. So they have that same caring adult who comes and works with them one-on-one to help them build their confidence and their skills with literacy. This is really important. If you think back to when you were in those early elementary school ages, or maybe you have a child who is currently in those early years of school, or you can remember back to, and if you really think about that learning trajectory, in the up until third grade, students are really learning how to read. But after third grade, you really need to be able to read to learn. If you think about your math textbooks, your history textbooks, and things like that, and the importance of being able to read and understand. And so Schools of Hope is a really early intervention to understand where students might be struggling with their literacy and provide them the skills and the support that they need to really become comfortable in reading by that critical third grade age point. In addition, another program I want to share with you is the CBITS program. This is really a partnership with Journey Mental Health Center. And CBITS, it stands for Cognitive Behavioral Intervention and Trauma Services. And this is actually a screener that happens in the schools for at 6th grade that screens for instances of trauma in a child's life. And this is a really important point in their life where we can identify where they might have experienced trauma. They can get the therapy and the support they need to work through those instances of trauma so that they can continue on and to be happy and healthy and successful in their school, but also in their home life as well. So CBITS screens all 6th graders, and then it also provides one-on-one therapy or group therapy opportunities for students who have been identified as having some sort of trauma in their life. And from this screening last year, about 2,254 students received one-on-one follow-up in our community, which is really, really important. And 60% of CBITS participants reported reduced symptoms of traumatic stress and depression. So really seeing the impact of just being able to identify when students are facing these traumatic experiences and helping them learn coping mechanisms to work through that trauma. So again, this is just a brief introduction to just 3 of the programs. And I know there are so many more represented within the Partners in Giving campaign in the area of education. I also just wanted to mention that another important aspect for us at United Way of Dane County is really advocacy and public policy work in the area of education. So our public policy agenda is really focused on expanding access to affordable and high quality childcare. Because again, we know that birth to 5 is such an important age range as a child really grows in their ability to learn. And then we also are supportive of policies that help close the gap in academic achievement, and particularly for students of color. And then last, we're focused on increasing access to affordable higher education and post-secondary education programs, because we want to ensure that Dane County students are prepared for college, career, or whatever comes next in their community life. So just want to say thank you. That's just a quick snapshot of United Way's education focus area. And I would like to hand it back to Natalie.
Thank you, Carly. Thank you, Kim. We are running right on time, so that's perfect. We do have time for some questions and answers. If anyone has anything, you can go ahead and put it in the chat or raise your hand or just unmute and ask. I know I'm always supposed to wait like 60 seconds, or is it 30 seconds? I can't remember what the rule is. Sorry. I'm out of practice. Well, if there aren't any questions, I did put in the chat the websites for Southern Poverty Law, also for American Charities, and also for, did I put in for United Way of Dane County? I don't think I did. Let me do that. Or Carly, do you have that?
Yep.
Awesome, thank you. And well, again, Kim and Carly, thank you so much for sharing with us today. I mean, education certainly is vital to the health of our communities. And as we heard, as we know, it needs to be a focus and a resource, not just at the beginning, but at the end and throughout all stages of our existence here. So thank you so much. It was amazing learning more about these programs and the advocacy that, is going on out there. And again, there are over 500 charities with Partners in Giving, so it's all in the booklet. If you have any questions, you can always reach out to me. So again, thank you all for attending today's session. I hope you tune in next week, which is, I can't believe I'm saying this, but is November 1st, which is crazy, from 11:30 until 12 o'clock. The focus topic will be mental wellness. And also a friendly reminder that donating through Partners in Giving is super easy. And you can choose your charity, 500, not all, but you can choose one of those. And any payment method, which includes the option for payroll deduction. And again, if there aren't any questions, thank you and enjoy the rest of your day, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.